Chapter S, Spiritual Intelligence. I don't know about you, but I was praying internally that I wouldn't catch this time. Unfortunately, that didn't work. I didn't stop praying, reading my Bible, or attending service because I lost trust. My faith actually increased because I didn't receive the maximum penalty. I felt I had been given some grace and mercy considering the severity of my crime. I decided to continue on the path that I started by putting my trust in God. With time, reading, and exposure to various interpretations of the Word, I began to have revelations of what the Spirit was saying to me. I've had my own journey to get where I am, and I truly believe that every person has their own personal journey which they must travel. There have been many questions that I had, and there still are questions that I have, but not as many as I started out with. I've learned that answers will be revealed if they are actually sought out. The important part is to search or seek. Through reflection, scripture reading, and prayer, I was led to how I would live my purpose. When I was involved in the church before this incarceration, I was appointed to be a junior steward. All the time I didn't know what a steward was. What I learned was that a steward was someone who managed what was left in their care. I concluded that I was to be a good steward and make sure I properly managed what was left in my care. In prison, what do we have? I've had to analyze this in order to determine what I want to be a good steward over. God had given me a brain to think. I have the ability to write and time to read everything I could possibly read to improve myself. Everything else will have to be developed. I had already begun writing to cope with what I was going through, and this helped me see how I got to this point and the direction that I wanted to go. Being around so many men who came from similar backgrounds allowed me to recognize a need. We all lacked an education and or resources that could have prevented us from being incarcerated. I wanted to do what I could to change this. The more I've learned, the more I found biblical principles to coincide with science. There are marvels like the fact that the model of an atom looks like the model of our solar system. There is a law for gravity, but there hasn't been anything that can explain how the various systems or forces were created. One thing that is known is that everything is energy. The law states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, but transferred. I equate energy with spirit. I also learned the law of reciprocity, or reaping what we sow. I had reaped the negativity that I sowed. Now I was determined to sow blessings so I can receive blessings. I'm constantly learning from how I can improve my situation by improving my spirit, energy, or attitude. There is even scripture that instructs us to think on positive things, Philippians 4:8, or to change by changing our thought, Romans 12:2. Thinking also an unseen energy that has the power to change our whole being. We can think of good memories and smile, or bad ones and become angry, stressed, or fearful. Once I discovered this, I started to further educate myself on how all this had an impact on my success. I've also noticed how I felt after taking in certain information. For example, when I would read of the history of Black people in this country, I would get angry and depressed. However, when I would read one of the books in my prosperity Bible or something motivational, I'm uplifted. So this lets me know what I need to do to adjust my energy and lift my spirit. This balance is necessary because as I educated myself about the problem, I also have to seek the solution. I found this to be difficult when I'm not in the right state of mind or spirit to do so. I suggest anyone who wants to increase their spiritual intelligence to read As a Man Thinketh by James Allen and The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy.